the property review process for Fendleton, Waimari, Harewood. And Aaron, you're declaring an interest in this.
Yes,
you're not going to take part in any of this discussion, all right? So we'll note that.
Yeah, and I'm happy to move or second the.
Okay, so Raf, you're happy to move. Jamie, you're happy to second the motion as put. Are there any questions on this one? Yanni.
I wanted to check on the suitability of the gravel pit for housing. I mean, is it really? I don't know the land.
The community board asked the property team to investigate a number of uses for it, from not specifically housing. It's close to the airport, so there's an overflight issue there. Right. Possibly a dog park and that type of thing. Basically, no. We recommend, as a board, that you accept these recommendations without change. They are supported by the. Right. They were the recommendations brought to us by the property team.
Yeah, but is the land itself actually got lots of different contours and had lots of different kind of use? Is that kind of why? Or is it just because of its location?
So I think if we brought up the photo, if I asked the secretary to bring that up, I think that starts to help.
I've looked at the photo on the report, but
yep.
It was just a little bit unclear from that.
So certainly there's restrictions in terms of the shape of the site, the services and the easements that are over it, the zoning. It's not one that I would be looking at. And I was also, again, putting on both my hats. I think I've failed really, because I've been trying to reinforce to councillors with an interest in social housing that land is not our issue. Capital is our issue. So perhaps if you were really concerned from a social housing perspective, I'd be looking at maybe directing the returns from the sale of this into investment in social housing purposes. That might be a better way forward if you want to achieve your outcomes than necessarily focusing on getting additional land.
Yeah, I think the concern is that the strategy of just intensifying existing social housing sites and not getting a geographic distribution. But you guys have looked at it.
So. and councillors have had a briefing on that back in November last year as well. So, our directions on those matters.
Okay. So this has been moved and seconded. Is there any debate on this? I'll put the motion.
Can I just say something, Andrew, in terms of debate before we?
Yes, of course.
I'm just thinking that I just totally sort of hear what Bruce is saying. So, is there any way that we can, going forward, get some sort of recommendation or note to put that in future any discussions about properties being, whatever the correct word is that social housing lens is put on that discussion going forward. So rather than trying to do it retrospectively as we are today, that we go forward with that lens as well, so that those who have concerns that we might be giving up land that could be used for social housing will be reassured that that has been considered in the decision making.
Well, I think we've heard from staff that already did happen, or certainly was capable of happening as part of the community board discussions. But I'm sure staff will take away from the issues that have been raised around this table today into any future processes that there needs to be robust consideration of land for social housing purposes before recommendations come here. That may well have been the case with these anyway, but equally taking into account the comments that Bruce made, that identifying land for social housing isn't necessarily something that should be our highest priority if our outcome is building as much social housing as we can in the shortest possible time. But I think, if staff wanted to reflect that back, it was certainly, I would imagine, something you're taking away from this discussion today is that land suitable for social housing is something that should be on our radar.
Yeah, I think in terms of the process, it's incumbent on all of us, the boards and staff, to make sure we have that discussion when we bring these properties to the boards. It was had, but we need to re-emphasise that and reinforce it.
And we can make it much clearer in it. But I can definitely assure you, we apply that lens. You're very much aware that we've just, for instance, purchased a vineyard I'm already getting the social housing staff to look at the house on that site to say, would that be suitable? The initial view says, no, it's not. It's away from services, it's away from public transport, it's the wrong size, wrong shape. But we do those exercises. They're the types of things that we just do on a daily basis that doesn't necessarily need to be brought to your attention, but we do these things.
And that's good for us to know, so thanks very much indeed for that response. Yanni.
Question of clarification. For a over 4,000 metre squared section, the valuation seems very low. It's 100,000. Is there a reason why the valuation is so low? I'm just mindful that one of the possible disposals is for industrial development, and we've previously had submissions around land in this wider vicinity being quite highly valued for its industrial rezoning purposes.
For the purposes of this process and the reporting, we did not get values on the individual properties because that would be cost prohibitive. So these are rateable values, and rateable values, of course, are not market values.
No, I understand that. So previously we've had people in the Avonhead area come to council for land that was rezoned with industrial capability, having the rates go up something like, I don't know, how many times. So you remember the guys that came in and they were, and so this land is in the similar vicinity, and yet it's very, very low valued.
The value is the rateable value.
No, I understand
it's not
that.
Market value.
The rateable value.
So I think saying it's low isn't. You're trying to say it's low in terms of the market. That is not.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to say it's low in terms of rateable values for other land that had industrial zoning in this area.
I think the question in terms of today's process, though, is really to what extent would the value of the land play into a decision to either dispose or retain. We're not agreeing today to dispose at a certain price or with certain conditions. We're either agreeing to retain or dispose.
And we would get a market valuation when we dispose of it. That market valuation would take into account all factors associated with the land, including rezoning potential if that was an issue.
Thank you.
And we would benchmark the sale off that current market value.
Thank you. So I'll now put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? That's carried.